Hello, everyone. I hope it's working. I hope people can hear me. All right. Let's see. Here we go. I was trying to do something smart, and there were some issues with the sound. I was trying to use my computer as well, so I could have like a like person, face to face, but it didn't kind of work out. If you could let me know if you can hear me okay and the sound is okay, because there were so many issues. Patricia, hello. Tracy, hello. Thank you everybody for joining me. It's been such an exciting few weeks, Lisa Horton Krauss, and there is more to come. And I wanted to start the Facebook Live holding the incredible, beautiful Spellbinders, the Platinum 6 version of Lisa Horton. Now, some of you may know, and I'm not supposed to even do this, but I just, because I got it on last week, and I just wanted to kind of go quickly over it, because of course I have some embossing folders from the Year in Bloom that I want to use as well. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Patricia, for letting me know. It's just, I was really worried that there would be a really bad echo because of what I was testing. So that was what I was thinking. Anyway, going back to the incredible die cutting machine from Spellbinders and Lisa Horton, which is the this incredible die cutting machine. Why I say incredible is because, I don't know if you know, I have worked with a couple, to say the least, die cutting companies in the past, and I know a thing or two about die cutting machines. Now, I seriously believe that die cutting is one of those things that you get to use, like you have your favorite, because we all do. And I have tested, I'm not joking, about maybe 20, 25 different ones. And I can see this one becoming a firm favorite. I'll tell you the reasons why. First of all, it's very low footprint, folded. It has got a handle, it's easy to carry around, it's not going to take that long space, but also it comes with all the plates, including the ones for the steel rule, the ones that are deeper, because I have got lots of them, so I can still use them. And ultimately, for me, is, in terms of die cutting machines, this one is one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest, of a 6-inch machine that I have ever used. And as I said, I have used a lot of them, so I'm super impressed. And what I love is that it's hefty without being too heavy that you kind of thinking, oh, it has to always be on the table, right? So great, well done to Spellbinders and Lisa for collaborating together. Hello, Lorraine. Lorraine is, of course, Sanders' incredibly talented design team, a member from Lisa Horton. Check her out. As Valerie as well is joining us. Don't forget that Claire and also the lovely Shirley as well. They do lives as well as Catherine and Lisa herself, which I believe Lisa is going to spill the beans later on today. Hello, Jane. Jane is also another super talented crafter. Hello, Carol. Hello, everyone. And let's get started now with the fabulous, Dazzle gel paste. Now, you can see that I have got 9 here. There are 10 of them. And for the life of me, I think I left them in Eastbourne. One of them, my most used ones, which is, of course, Fantasy, I cannot find. So it's one of those ones. I think I did a demonstration with it and I left it there to dry out, like the demonstration. And I think I put the pot on underneath it to dry, and that's what's happened. But not to worry, because I have got some samples of it. But more importantly, they behave all very similar. Well, they are basically all the same composition. There are there are two types within the Dazzle paste, and to explain it, I'm going to take these two, which are more or less the same kind of colorway, obviously slightly different. This is actually my most used spearmint, because there's one technique that you're going to see later on, that one. It's basically, you can see that is a gel paste that will go through stencils, is dimensional, water-based, but also it has a beautiful pearl in it. They have got also glitter in it, not too much, not too little. It's just perfect to add a little bit of texture, but also to add that shine without being a classy shine. And then there is the other type, which again, they do not, like, they're the same, but just to kind of showcase the difference. Hello Tina, another incredible design team member. We are so lucky at Lisa Horton that we have got such an inspirational team. And here you can see that it's a slightly, can you see the difference? It's a tiny bit, but I just wanted to show it. This one is, if I put them like this, you can see it. That one is a slightly more translucent. You can see I have been using them a lot. And the thing is, you don't need to be a super glittery person to enjoy these ones. I mean, if you are, you're gonna love them. But you are like, if you're like me, and you like a little bit of a sparkle, you like texture, you like something that is easy to use, you are absolutely gonna love the Dazzle paste. By the way, I always store them flat like this. You do not want to store them like I do right now. It's just to show you could see all the colors, except of course Fantasy, which is a more translucent I would say it's a clear, translucent, glittery paste. To show you later on I'll get what the effects are, but that's the one that is missing from this lineup, because there are 10 in total, and they are available right now, and you can get them on lisahortoncrafts.co.uk. Right, how do you use them? Well, I'm going to use them as they are intended, and you can use whichever card you want. Because it's a paste, it tends to say the smoother the card, it's what I would go first, because it's gonna give you a closer bond basically with the stencil to the card. I don't know if it makes any sense, but what basically I mean is the fact that if you have got any texture, so imagine that I had something, I was wondering if I had some cards. So I had some corrugated card. Okay. I'm just going to explain it like this, right? So imagine that texture, right? And obviously this is at a much smaller scale, right? If I put a stencil over, right? You could see it like this, right? So basically when I'm putting paste, those little textures would mean that the paste could spread out. Hence why I recommend a card, especially at the beginning, especially if you just want to do a traditional stenciling, to do it on a smooth card. So therefore, you know the sets of, for instance, the Ish card from the Lisa Horton and the bundle that you get, the True Black and the Super Smooth. This would be beautiful as the black. I love that card. And I'm absolutely addicted. I know I keep saying it, to the Ish card. I have got a box with them, and then I use them as well. There it is. Right. So hello everyone that are joining us here on Lisa Horton Crafts as well. I'm just showing you a few techniques with the Dazzle paste. So I'm using the tacky mat, which I don't hide the fact that I own two of them. I got one when I first launched. It became soon a favorite way before I joined Lisa. I absolutely adore. I like the size. I love that it fits with the Ultimate. I'm not using the Ultimate because I know some of you are waiting for it. So I kind of want to make sure that you know that you can get your tacky mat ahead of time. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, that kind of element that kind of attaches itself as well as the card. Now, this tacky mat is very well used. It has been used a lot. So obviously tacky mat is something that you can wash it and use it time and time again, use both sides as well. but it's one of those ones that as well you may want to invest into another one at eventually, because you will have like a lower tack mag because you have used it a lot. But to clean it up, just run it underneath tap water and let it dry naturally. You don't want any fibers to be stuck to them, right? So I put my stencil. I love these stencils. These are the kind of I would say the essentials stencils from Lisa. And then I'm going to go in with a couple of colors. Now, oh, shall I ask you which colors to use? Because there is so many options, aren't they? And you can mix and match. The formulation is the same. So in that means that you can bring so for instance, I love this color combo, but even better, that color combo is absolutely delicious, isn't it? It's just, and I tend to like it like that because I like to do that sort of combo. So I'm gonna go for those ones. Let me know if you have got any questions. I seem to be able to read them from my phone, so please ask them. And if not, as well, I like to go through the questions both on YouTube and on Facebook after the live. Now, I'm using a spatula. Whatever spatula you have, that will work. This seems to work for me. And I tend to do a nice dollop in here. Now, you can put your paste onto the tacky mat and it will clean up very easily. Water-based, you can clean that in the tap. Now, you can just go in, several times. And now, I'm one of those ones that with traditional gel paste, I cannot go more than once because somehow I make a mess. Don't worry, with this one you can. The consistency is really stunning. It's now, I know some people have asked about drying times, and of course that's one of those questions. How long is a piece of string? Well, it depends the length, right? It kind of depends on the thickness, depends on that. Always I talk about room temperature, humidity, and things like that. Those affect the drying times as well as the absorbency of the paper or card that we are using. Now, I'm going to leave the open areas around here. What I mean is, like, I'm not going to go to the end of the edge because I would trim it down, and that's another thing that you can do. You can always put the excess that you have got left in your spatula back in. Now I have got a little bit of pink, I can see it here. I'm not that precious because it's so tiny and it's such a similar color that it's not gonna make a massive difference. But for instance, if it was purple and yellow that I was using, I would make sure that I decant that in an extra pot. And talking about pots, I'm a hoarder, right? And I keep every single thing. And it's very hard for me to throw away things, even to the recycling bin, terms like pots, lids, and things like this. And the reality is they come in really handy. Now, I'm going this way as well because I know I can do that. Now, talking about lids and keeping everything, I have got here from a soup or something. Instead of throwing it away, perfect to decant. Now, this what will happen is, of course, it will dry if I don't cover it. At the minute, it's fine. If I was making a project that I know that I'm not going to revisit that, I would put it into a small pot that I could close the lid. But I'm cleaning my tool there, and that it's very, very handy. Right, we have got a question about Jane. You can find them on the lisahortoncrafts.co.uk. You will find the great Dazzle paste in there. And so if you go there, you will find them on the, I think it's one of the latest products. So let me find it. I could put the link, couldn't I? Lisa Horton. Let's see. No, that, yeah. So if you go to the main page, you will you can see Craft Day, and if you go there, you will find them a little bit down actually. So you can find them that way, or if you just put paste on the website, you will find them immediately there. Right, thank you so much, Lorraine, for that link. Thank you so much. I mean, the design team is just really fabulous. Right, so we have that done, and then I'm just gonna lift it. This is the magical Apologies for that. Let's put it. Now, you have seen me go back and forth, but look at this. Now, as it dries, is even nicer. Now, there is like almost translucentness to it, but it still has that color as well. And there is a little bit of texture due to the glitter. You can see a little bit of the shine. It's something beautiful that you have. Now, if you want to increase the glitter, say that you want to have a little more glitter, absolutely you can sprinkle a little bit of glitter. Now I have got some here. I might regret this. I'm not gonna regret it because I'm gonna put a piece. I don't want to get glitter over my tacky mat, so I'm putting it a piece of card. And you can go in. Say for instance, you want to do a little bit of more glitter there. You can. It will attach. So imagine that you want to maybe to do a gold mica tint, or even better, you could go with explosion powders. Now, I believe that's the right color. So the thing is, teal water is the thing. So if you wanted to, I'm going to put a little bit of the explosion powders from Lisa, and I know many of you have got this, and you can see how, while it's wet, right, how it's starting to spread out. So again, it allows you to do different techniques if you wanted to do that as well. Let me put that aside. We don't want an accident with all that glitter. So again, it's this. See, that's what I mean. I mean, I didn't have a massive accident, but I did have a little accident with the glitter, and that's the reason why I don't use it that much. Even though I do, so I really do love glitter, but hence why the pastes are such a great way, because they have got already the glitter, right? So you can see it spreading out here, and as it dries, the paste, as it kind of comes in contact, it will kind of even spread even more. Then I put that aside. Right, something else that you can do, of course, is, you know, especially if Leona is watching, which I don't think she is, but if she was, I would tell, she would tell me off. Again, I'm going to take a piece of you know, paper that I keep in there, and then you can just go in. And the other thing you could do is run it through a die cutting machine to make sure that you can keep all that glorious paste. Now you can do like this, and then you get some of that texture. Now this doesn't look much, but I have got a one that I want to show you, because this, I absolutely love that. I created with another stencil and another leftover, and definitely this, when you trim it down, then it's a perfect placement background, so for another project. And I always think that at the beginning it looks like, oh, you are keeping everything, Paula, but it's a brilliant starting point for something else. Right, I'm going to put it at the side. What you need to do with this, of course, is to clean it. And one of the ways, you know, I would take it to the sink, and then just take a piece of kitchen and then just wipe it. I mean, I'm using a tissue paper, but because that's, I mean, I just want to show you that if you don't have a sink nearby, you can always do this. But yeah, clean it up and make sure that you don't have any residue, or you can leave it less of it. It doesn't matter, especially with a big open stencil like this. But if you have got a very detailed, you do not want to have too much in there. Right, let's move to the next. Would it react with water on the stencil paste? Right, it does, because they are water based. They will work a little, how can I say this? It's not going to be water reactive once it dries. Let me show you here. This is dry, right? So if you put water, it will kind of resist the water. It doesn't blend, you know, here. So, but while it is wet, it will mix it up, but that will make it more fluid and therefore less stencil friendly. Hello, Natalia. Lovely to have you here as well. Hello, Karen King. Don't worry about being late. You can always rewatch it as well if you want it. Right. What what else we can do with the stencils is the other one that I'm going to do quickly. I have got one that I did yesterday in preparation, is to do it with acetate, and it can be any acetate. One tip, I'll keep the packaging from different things because you can then use it as kind of tester as well. Now, of course, acetate or plastics or transparent plastics are like hard. They're very, very different in here as well. So remember, you know, they will behave slightly different, some of them. But with this paste, I found that most of them, well, all the ones that I tested work really well. Now, the trick here is now to see where my acetate was, but more or less I can see it. And I'm going to go with yellow, so the lemon face in here. So the thing is, I use the other colors, and you can do certain parts of it. So you can do yellow in here. Again, remember, I'm going to go to another pot, so I'm disposing of my excess in here. So I'm just keeping on that palette kind of as much as possible in there. And then, of course, you could reuse it. If it dries, I believe it's dry. So I haven't been able to test it properly, if you can, you know, if it's permanent once it dries. So that's a good question as well. So I think it's one of those ones you have to test, but I think they become permanent because of the test that I just did with spritzing the water. So that is on acetate, which is one of absolutely my favorite things to do it as well. And you can see the beautiful blend of that lemon face, which is very beautiful and very kind of golden, with that beautiful sea foam, which is a beautiful aqua, I would say. So when I put it onto black, you can see it better. There we go. Sorry, my ring light is just there, but look at that. Isn't it just gorgeous? The ring light is beautiful until you put something shiny, and then it's very distracting, isn't it? There we go. So on white, you can see it more translucent as well. Right. So there we go. There. Absolutely right. There's barely any left in here. I mean, I'm using this little kind of scraper, but then, you can go in. And I've been very generous, and there is a little bit in here. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to go for a watercolor-ish card. I'm going to put it like this and just put it like this. And that creates like a soft background. But this is really nice because then you can just see it very, very subtly. But then I could die cut that and have like for a topper. And I do that a lot. This is a cleaning thing. This is just to not waste. And then it becomes a little strip or something like this. Let's start coloring some. Oh, I forgot to show you the finished one that I did yesterday. Look at this one. I love that. I use the same colors that I use here, right? By the way, you can see the explosion of powders coming through it more. The same colors, exactly the same colors, and it's beautiful on the acetate there. Right. And I don't think that the camera or the lighting that I have got here does them any justice. I'm going to do whatever is left here, scrape it over again, so we don't want to waste anything. And every time it will be a different effect. So when I do like this, oh, see, I love this. And again, you're thinking, Paula, what are you saying? But see, this is perfect, again, for when you want to make a card with a very simple element. You want some texture. This is going to be a perfect background. And then you know that that we have done, so you can die cut a circle. And by the way, next Monday, well, you need to watch Lisa on Friday and on Monday on Hobby Maker. So Friday on Lisa Horse and Crafts on the Facebook and YouTube, and back on Monday on Hobby Maker, because Oh my goodness. The next release of dyes, these will be amazing. How long does it take the paste to dry on acetate? Karen, great question. On acetate, I would say, again, depends on room temperature and humidity, but I would say a good 2 to 4 hours, definitely. Definitely. Um, I tend to leave everything overnight because it depends on the thickness, but yeah, I would say at least 2, 3, 4. And it also depends on the thickness because, for instance, this one that I have poured a massive dollop of it, definitely I would leave it overnight. Oh, you, Lorraine, you are weakening. Is it about the pace? That is a good good thing, is it? Weakening. I wanted to show you these three colors, right? So the gorgeous ones that we just used here. Right. I mean, imagine overlaying this. I kind of love, I'm digging this. I'm digging that pattern coming through. It's slightly different, obviously, because I use the purple as well, but you can see it that this is the same color, so you can overlay them, put them like this, and you have got that mix of effects. Lots of possibilities. And again, you can put them over here and create those effects directly. So many things they are here. Right, let me see. Karen, great that you answered your question. It's hard to say. I am such a non-committal person, and for me it's really hard to say how long it takes for something to dry, because it's like, well, I do not know. Like, I don't know how cold is your room. I don't know how much, like it's going to affect it. Now, this is something that I done on acetate. And when you have got big blobs of a stencil that has got big gaps like this, if you have got, you can bend it, and this is really cool. Now, if it's a small detail and you won't be able to do this completely. Hello, Beverly. Thank you for joining us. But you can actually peel them. And which means, I mean, they don't come off. Like if you make a card with them, absolutely, if you attach that to a card, they wouldn't come off. However, if you bend it, and you have to bend it really well. So this is why, and isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I just think that that you can attach them and create your own. How would I glue them? Absolutely with the high tack that dries completely clear, and it's EVA, super flexible. So that's what I would glue them together to the card. But you can create your own kind of almost embellishments of the paste. For this, I would use an acetate that is, I don't know, there are certain acetates that are kind of printable, that have got some texture. Definitely wouldn't use those ones. I use like the packaging ones. That is definitely the way. Donna, you are absolutely right. Acetate can be a pain, but with this are just beautiful. Another question I had, and I remember, which I'm gonna show it you to. I'm gonna show it. It was, if once you put this stencil paste, you can emboss it. Now, this is not a good finished sample. I'm not ever good. That's just kind of a tester, and that's okay. Sometimes we need to test things out that are not gonna be used into a card, and hence why you can see here I was testing the matte blending inks onto craft cards to see how much the color, opacity, and so on were. So then I used the front to mix the metallic inks to see how they reacted on craft. Again, not throwing anything, just testing. And then I put the, you can see here that it was the purple and the sea foam as well, and some of the lemon fizz paste to see how it reacted, which is beautiful because it acquires some of the color of the metallic inks. And then I use the embossing folder just to test. So again, this is a tested piece, of course, a reminder of different techniques. So what I'm gonna do is where it was, I had it ready, but then of course this is me. Oh yes, of course, the one that I had here, just to show you how this can emboss. It might crack a little bit on the darker side. And by the way, I'll show you a technique with this in a second. Now I'm going to take, of course, the fabulous Platinum by Lisa Horton. I'm going to put my tacky mat away and there. And I'm going to bring in, right, I'm going to bring in my Year in Bloom embossing folders. Now for this one, it really, see, I say that, but then I was thinking, oh, it doesn't matter what embossing folder to use. But I think I'm going to use the Foxgloves just because it's vertical, and I think it could look quite cool, isn't it, as well? How cool would it be? The smaller ones to look for the center of floral liquids. Absolutely, with those dots of the, if you put the dots on acetate, well, not the dots, if you stencil a smaller circle with the gel paste, the Dazzle paste, onto a acetate, let it dry, and then use it for the center of flowers. Absolutely, that would work. Right, so I'm gonna put my machine out of the way, trying to not hit any cat, because yesterday I stepped over Fuji and I still cannot forgive myself. She seems to be fine. Right, so I'm gonna open it, and you can see that it has embossed. Now obviously you lose a little bit of the definition because you have got so much going on that you cannot see it that well, but definitely it can be embossed. It doesn't crack because it has that flexibility. Even though I thought that it would crack, it has embossed. I wouldn't necessarily use maybe such a floral pattern. I would, maybe a more geometric would work a little bit better. So probably something like this one would have worked better in that respect. But just wanted to show you that yes, you can emboss it, the Dazzle paste embossing. But there is something else you can do with the embossing folders, which I think is the coolest thing, right? And to do it, I'm going to show you first. It's back to front. And if you watch the craft day, you would have seen this. This is the Dazzle paste, and you can see onto it. And I will do the full reveal in a second. But here it is, right? So I'm going to put it here, and you are going to see it. Now, if you did watch the what it was, the craft day last Friday, you will have seen this technique, but I just love it so much. Take one color, the color that you want the flowers, the one that kind of is, so you just fill it up, and you want to kind of scrape anything else, right? So you want a solid. Now there are two ways of doing this. If you want that color to be pristine, let it dry a little bit, and I'm saying maybe half an hour or so. So what it will happen is that the top layer will dry, and when I put another color, it will sit completely on top and it won't mix at all. If I go directly and I put another color, some of it might seep in and there might be a little bit of blend of colors. Now I love that, so it doesn't bother me. Now with the green, I'm going to the green, which is, this one is spearmint. You go in, and this one is the thick layer, and you can see from here it's a very thick coverage. Now hence why there is very little. And if you're thinking, well, I like the green, but I don't want to always use that green, or I want to change the color, I'm going to show you ways to change the colors with the reinkers and the explosion powders. Whichever one you have will work. There are just some techniques that, you know, it's important to remind us, so I will go through them in a second. Right, let this dry. What you really want is to have almost the cleanest edge around it. So do it more like this side, I'm going to bring it here, and less like this. The more that you do like this, is the more little pieces are going to fill in. But don't worry, you can clean them up very easily, either under the sink or just by running a scrap piece of paper a couple of times through your die cutting machine, and they come off very well. So don't worry, you're not gonna ruin your embossing folders at all. If you want to always test them on your least favorite embossing folder, by all means do that. But I have tried a few of them and all has worked very well. Right, are you want to see the reveal? Because that's what it was, exactly as I did it. And you can see that there is like a deboss, which I love that side as well. But I love even better this side. And you can see here that the yellow or the gold has mixed in a little bit, but it's just not that much. And this can then go in. Let me show you the sample here. And I love this. It's clean and simple card. And that can be done with any embossing folder, but I would recommend one that has got a definite smaller pattern. So for instance, I wouldn't necessarily do this one because on the background is very blank, right? So you could do, say for instance, a little bit in here. If I put it like this, you can see it better. So more here than here, because that would be a little bit more difficult to lift it off. And then what you can see is like I use one of those pieces, right? One of the pieces that I had been using like a kind of way bit for the background to give, and then I embossed it as well with the same embossing folder to give that kind of almost mixed media effect, but it's still pretty, it's still with that. And this is just so much fun and so easy. And also it's just different. Also because it's flexible. So see, I'm getting very excited and I'm talking too fast again. I do apologize. Side note, whenever there is like you know, like subtitles, or you go to a dictation system like on a WhatsApp and things like that, they just never get my accent right ever. And they go from, I try to give the instructions for a star, you know, like I say, so instructions for the star book, which is, by the way, what I'm going to be teaching at the weekend, which is a workshop that we are doing with the Craft Collective with Leone, Eric, and Sarah. And I was saying instructions for the Starbucks. Here it goes, and then it puts instructions for a Starbucks. I was like, that's not the same thing, is it? But going back to this, the gel paste. Look at that. Now you could, and I do want to show it how you can do this. Right? You can cut it. I know I ruined it a little bit, but you can. Sorry, that's not good, is it? Right. So you can cut it, and I could even, I know it's not what, but I would cut it like this, right? And then I would go, this is a lid from a spray can. And what I would do is I would put some of the high tack that I have got in my non-clog bottle. And you could use as well, because we are talking about now about materials that are non-absorbent, non-porous. But you could use red liner tape if you prefer it. I find that the high-tech glue, because it's EVA and has got that flexibility, actually works really well for something like this. Now, I don't think I put the right amount of glue. I would put a little bit more spread out. You can see there that it's not. But what I would do is leave it like this and put a, let me show if I have got a rubber band. Yes, I do. I have got there a little drawer unit that I have had for the last 20 years. And I have got all the, you know, odds and bobs. But let it dry like this. And then you could then do another one around it as well. It really is fabulous. And you can make a like beautiful pen pot out of the gel paste. And the bits like this, well, this one, I probably would end up throwing it away. Or actually turn it in over like this, and that would make a lovely, I don't know, some edge or something like that. Right, I'm going to put that aside because that's going to dry. And definitely this will take, I would leave it overnight before handling, because you want to make sure that the EVA has made proper contact. Definitely put more on the edges, spread it thin, but you know what I mean. Right, I have got here the crocus, and I'm going to show you. So I use here, yes, I have done that, but now I have got a elastic band around it, so I'm going to let it dry. Yeah, absolutely, that's why you do it. You let it dry like this, and that will work. And by the way, you could do that as well for boxes. So for instance, if you have got a box that you got from a really cool you know the ones, the perfumes and things like that, keep them and put them on the top. One of the things as well, sorry, I'm just keep going on about this, you could then paint it with whatever medium. I would say, well, I would gesso it first, and then you can put any medium or any acrylic paint. But then you can put the waxes, and that will kind of highlight the design as well. Here I have got the crocuses, and which is the January from A Year in Bloom, also available now. Now here, just go around it. I did this last night, and I can see it, that there is some of it that hasn't dried as much. So what it means is that because of the cold that it was today, it needs more drying time. You can see it here, right? Don't worry if that happens. Let it dry like this, right? If you see any element that is not coming neatly, let it dry. I did this last night, maybe at 9 o'clock at night. I think I did it. So therefore, it hasn't been 24 hours, which I think for thick elements might need it. But this one has come up really nice. Look at that. I love this. And look at this. Isn't that just pretty? I love that. Love this. Now again, another technique, and let me show you if I have got, this one has come up. Yeah, see this one, I did a problem a little bit thicker, and it has come up a little bit. So this is what happens if you don't let it dry. So I can see it, this is still wet, but that's why you don't lift it up. You let it dry naturally. And over, I would say that this air clay, absolutely you can do that with air dry clay. However, the paste will have that glitter and that color already, and you can see here on the edge how the mix of colors. I think this would be a lovely element, again an abstract element for a card. One of the things I wanted to show you, let me bring again and again, this is why we love the platinum. It's the fact that you can just lift it up. And I'm gonna bring in my base, my platform base, and then I believe is the platform top. Another thing I love about this manners is the fact that you have got pictorial instructions of it. Susanna is asking, could we dust it a little bit of talc beforehand? Absolutely, it's a good idea. I just don't tend to put talc because then of course it kind of affects a little bit the actual, it would affect a little bit the actual paste. It would mix it up a little bit, but I don't see why not, to be honest. Right, I have got here the nested circles, and here I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna go in with a smaller one. That's too small. Oh, that would look nice, wouldn't it? But that might be, yes, I think that's gonna be the one. I'm gonna, oh, pristine plates. Do you ever when you get the new plates, whether it's a new die cutting machine or new, do you ever go like, oh, I don't want, oh, sounds like baptizing the plates, right? With that clicky noise, but marking the plates. Always a joy, always kind of, do I want to do this? Right, so let me run it through. And then let me show you. And you can see you need to tease it out, but it has cut beautifully all throughout. Don't tell me that this is not very, very, very pretty. Love this. Now, definitely, again, I would definitely let it dry for 24 hours. Make sure that it's dry before die cut it. Now, nothing will happen if you do. If it's just that it's not gonna crack. It's not gonna die cut as well. You could always put it between two pieces of paper if you wanted to, but I believe that works very well like this. So you don't have to put it. And by the way, I use the fundamentals, which are available individual if you want to do that. But this then could work. I mean, I'm not sure that this would work with this background, but see, this is what I mean. You can layer. I'm not sure that I like that. I cannot, maybe. You know what I'm gonna do? Maybe it's just maybe this is what works very well. So I would let this dry, trim this bit off, and just put that as a layer there. And to trim it, actually, it's touch dry, so I think it will be able to put it through the trimmer. And there is a little bit of elements that are still not completely dried. I don't recommend doing what I'm doing. Make sure that everything is very dry. But those bits, you know, that was the leftover. That will make a lovely, you could put it like this. And always you can make it into a banner. So I'm going to take my scissors, like these ones. They're very old, so they're not there. But I love the Tim Holtz scissors, but they are corrugated, serrated on one side, so sometimes they leave a mark in here. I could die cut this, but I'm just showing this. See, I'm one of these people that I do it and then thinking, oh, I have got the banner die somewhere, and then it's like, well, it would take me forever to find it. But if you like banners, especially little banners, there is an amazing die sets coming up that you need to watch Lisa later. I like this. This is coming up together, and I see the timing, so I'm not gonna take long to finish this up. So this I did it on watercolor card, so I'm going to take my watercolor card. So what I'm going to do now is, of course, take my what is it, my Crocus embossing folder. Now you remember that I had some elements that hadn't dried. You can see if they haven't dried properly, they will crumble, so that's okay. I'm not bothered about that because I know I can scrape them off. So I'm going to take my Crocus embossing folder, and see, this is the problem, isn't it? When you let it dry, I'm going to do that later on. But what I would do is emboss this with the Crocus embossing folder, and then put this here, and then create. By the way, if you have got the ish card, right? See, I do this with a scoring board, but I have got my ultimate there. I should have used my ultimate. I'm gonna just put this in here, a little bit of blue or a lot of the, yep. Put the two pieces of card together. And as I said, I'm not worried whatsoever about the embossing folder because I know it's gonna come off really well on the wash, or just you know, just let it dry. That's the key thing. Right, so I'm gonna put it like so, but this would have been much better if it was embossed, but you know, my demonstrations and things like this, you can never know. I'm just gonna put some of the foam on the back, and I'm using basically the leftovers to create. That should be enough. So I put one for good, another one for good measure here. I don't mind so much details to be floating. And then gonna put this here. So yes, if you like to use a lot of the ish card, I use it all the time, just making a score line on the back, and then you have got a 10-fold one, and it works really well. And these will work just there. And let's put some foam pads. That should work. I just love these pads, that they are so flexible. Let's put them like this, and then Sandy, I have got some of the sentiments from Lisa for spellbinders. It's your special day. You could put it like this, you could put it like that. I kind of like it here. I don't know why, I do like it in there. So this is really nice. That's, oh, the next release might be, oh, you know, Tina, is such a good release, the next one, because you know how I'm creating this card and this with elements. Just saying, these ones, if you ever thought, oh, you know, like, I just don't know where things go, or kind of, you know, the next release is just phenomenal. And also makes everything, like, especially the bits that we create, like the backgrounds and techniques, that will allow it. But see, very simple cards, but that would work. Obviously, it would have been nicer with embossing, but obviously my embossing folder needs to have a good clean. Now, I wanted to show you, I have got like 8-9 minutes, but just to show you how nice they look. It's just really nice. No, I wanted to show you one thing. Now, this is done with the interference reinkers, and look at those beautiful, beautiful colors, right? And then I went in with Fantasy, which is the pot that I have somewhere misplaced. And so here, when you go on it, because they're water reactive, the paste, while it's wet, will absorb some of the color, and which means it's almost like a water a foam bleaching technique to the reinkers, but it's really, really cool. And this is the Fantasy onto the white, and to the black is just also phenomenal. So because I have misplaced it, the next thing I can use is the cracked ice. Now, this is not as clear. This is more white, opaque. I wouldn't say it's completely opaque, but it's a little bit kind of thing like that. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do here, it didn't make any sense. I do that all the time. I start the sentence and I move on to the next without finishing the other, because that's how my brain works. My brain works apparently at a very high speed, which I didn't realize until I got to university, and then teachers told me, wait, you are, you know, you're just talking so fast. And it was even in Spanish. They wouldn't understand me. How rude, eh? Like Leonie would say. Right, so this is the watercolor cardstock, so it has got a lot more texture, and also because I have put a lot of water and I haven't left it in between book, like some weight, so it still is a little bit warped, so that hence why it's not staying flat as much. And here, what would work really well is a stencil like this one, which is it isn't. Well, it's the 116. I think it has got a name, but I forgot which one it is. So, and then I'm gonna put it over here and take a spatula, and it can be any spatula. I mean, whatever you have, a palette knife or something like that. Obviously, because the paper is so it's a watercolor, some of the paste might have spread out a little bit, but no, it hasn't. See, this is how good they are, this paste. Look at that. I absolutely love that, because they're water reactive and the inks are water-based, sorry, and the inks at the bottom are water reactive. They are gonna transfer a little bit. If you wanted the white to be pristine, if you didn't want, what you can always do is do a layer of gel medium, and then that will protect it as well, or to do this onto acetate and then put the acetate on the top. But hopefully you can see here that it really comes up really clean, and I just love a stencil like this to add pattern to an inky background. I think this is one of those stencils that you cannot get in, you know, like it's an essential. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to grab a piece of black card and I'm going to put it here. Right, and you know what I'm doing? I'm cleaning my stencil. Well, I'm cleaning my stencil and my palette knife because I wanted to show you as well the beautiful nature of this stencil and the paste. Oh my, look at that. Again, I like those open edges, as I call them, like the rough effect. And I will keep this because then when it comes to making a card, I have got the right elements to do that with. You know, I have got those backgrounds that they are so useful then to use later as well. Look at my hands. Look at my hands. They're very dirty, but they are happy crafting hands, aren't they? Right. So we have another technique. And finally, I have got 4 minutes. So I'm going to definitely do it half time. So where is my other... Where did I leave my other tea? Here it is. Before I forget, before I go, the last technique I'm going to do is with the explosion powders and the re-inkers. Now, it doesn't matter which re-inkers you have from Lisa Horton, they both will work. Slightly different effects, of course, all the time. So I've gone for this one is the hibiscus. So I'm going to go in maybe for the sapphire golds there. Right, so let me put it in. Two things. If you don't have the explosion powders, then you can do it with the re-inkers. If you have got the explosion powders and not the re-inkers, it's up to you. Two things. They are very different products. This is a loose powder without any water, but it's water reactive, and this is a dye pigment based combination that is obviously suspended into water, as well as some mixatives and added, which make them you know, kind of dry and stay you know, real, the pigments stay in place, which are or binders, that's it, to stay in place. Now, because they do have got liquid, what you want to do is just put a maximum of 2 drops. You do not want to put more, because what would do is to add too much water in, especially if you want to put it through a stencil, it would make it too watery. As it is, maybe 2 was too much, but I think it still kind of gets that soft peaks or hard, never know. Now, you can mix it up perfectly, so you have got a homogeneous paste, or you can do my favorite, which is not to mix it up too much. And you can see how I have created my own paste. This is using the interference or the matte blending re-inkers. 2 drops maximum, and you still get that beautiful shine, that beautiful glitter coming through it, right? So make sure that I clean this up. Again, not throwing this, because then you can always then die cut it. And one final thing, we have got 1 minute, I believe, but I just want to show you. Again, don't throw away lids and things like that. Brilliant as palettes. I mean, everybody else goes like, Paula, you should throw it away. I think even Leona used to say recycle it, but I'm like, no, yes, I'm recycling myself. And then I'm gonna go in with, this is hibiscus. So here with the explosion powders, you can be a little bit more generous, but again, you don't want to overdo it, because this they are powders, they can do exactly the opposite. They can make it too thick, if you know what I mean. But look at this. Now I have got a completely different color. Now, say for instance that you wanted to create a more yellowy color, you can go in. I'm gonna go in with lemon tan. Sorry, more yellowy, no, more not red, maybe more orange. Well, now I have created a bit of a brown because I kind of had the, but see, now this I don't know if it comes across. It's a really lovely. I don't know if it comes across. Oh yes, you can see it's like a peachy gold color. Absolutely gorgeous. And again, take these you can put it through stencil. I mean, there is so many colors coming through. It's gonna be a little bit of mud now, but again, it's perfect to create backgrounds with texture. And you can do markings as well. So many possibilities and so little time. And with that, I believe my time this live is coming to an end. Thank you so much for joining me. Donna, I hope it goes well with the dog. Thank you, Lorraine, as always. Thank you for for joining us. Right, I'm gonna put everything into the wash. Oh, but look at that. I just love that. That looks like a modern painting, doesn't it? Remember, join Lisa for Spill the Beans later on today. I think it's 2 o'clock. And then, of course, Lisa will be live on her channel today, but also on Friday, and Hobby Maker next week for a release that you cannot miss out. Thank you so much.